What feels unsafe for you when you're grieving? In other words, what that people say or do or don't do, or their attitude, etc., upsets you or really causes negative feelings in you to where you may feel actually unsafe around a person when you're in the loss, life-changing loss, life-altering loss, especially, okay, and your whole world is turned upside down, okay, your world has changed and you know you've changed and you'll never be the same as what you were before. It really does matter who we spend our time with and who we're around and how they affect us. So this is the 9th video in this series on emotions, and we are going to be discussing today some of the negative or unhelpful, unhealthy things that either are attitudes or characteristics or behaviors or things, the way people talk, things like that, that cause us to feel unsafe. And I want to empower you that yes, you cannot control other people or what they do, but you can control whether you spend time with them or you're around them, especially if it really, really, really is unhealthy for you and is not helping you along your grief journey. So we are going to, I want to refer to 2 videos that I already have in my channel that will be put in the description of this video. Okay, that definitely go along with this video and what we're talking about. First one is called Four Signs of a Safe Person, and I created an acronym that, you know, uses SAFE to make it kind of easy for us to look at what we need, what characteristics or principles we need to see in a person who's safe. Okay, and then the part 2 of that is called What to Say or Not to Say to the Grieving. And that's where I give specific examples, one for each of the different letters for the acronym, you know, of what we don't want to say to someone who's grieving in specific scenarios and what we could say that could be helpful to that person, okay? So those videos definitely go along with this. This is going to hit on a little bit different angle than those. And another thing I want to make sure you know is that basically these principles apply to any relationship and any, whether it's, you know, a group of people or an individual. And typically we're talking about an individual, one person, maybe in a group, or, you know, that we deal with one-on-one, but it could be a group as well. Okay, so that means you're a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, a child, any of these things and more. So that's just to name a few. All right, this can apply to any one of these. So, and I'm going to give an example scenario in a minute. Another thing to realize that it is important that you realize when you feel unsafe, when somebody else says or does something or doesn't do something. It's important for you to realize when you feel unsafe, and then it's important for you to recognize exactly what it was that they did or said or didn't do that caused you to feel unsafe. Another thing I want to reiterate, and I did talk about this in my last video, is we are all unique, and I talk about this on many videos, but it really does play into life. It plays into you and how you can help yourself. It's important for us to remember that we're unique, because we get into this comparison game we do at times, and I've got a specific video just on how we want to avoid comparing, but we're all unique. So this is all subjective, what we're talking about today. And I can't go on in every little detail. If you need help one-on-one, I'm here for you. I'm a life coach that specializes in grief, and I'm Julie Kay, helping you find your way through grief and loss. And that's what I love helping people do. So this is very subjective. Again, we're going to be talking about some words that I think overall you're going to go, yes, that if somebody acts like that towards me and I feel like they're being judgmental, for instance, you would say, yeah, that feels unsafe to me. And it's not the best thing for me in my grief process of moving towards healing. So But, these are words that overall we can all feel unsafe with. But it's still subjective, because one person who may act like that maybe acts judgmental towards you. Maybe you don't feel judged, or you're okay. And you just kind of are able to shrug that off, and kind of get over that fast. Whereas another person would get very offended or hurt. So it's all very subjective, okay? So I just wanted to make sure we, put that right up front. So here's my example. It's a common thing that people say and do in grief, but it is just an example. And then I'm going to go over just a few different scenarios of what you might want to, the relationship you're in and how that might need to be altered or changed or not changed. Okay, so if someone you know tells you that you just need to be over your loss, whether it's the loss of your parent, your friend, your child, your coworker, whoever it is, your cousin, okay, whoever it is, but they're saying you just need to get over that person. Like, why are you still struggling with this? You need to get over it, or they just tell you you should be done with it. However that's worded, it's that kind of a scenario. That's our example today, okay? So that may not really rile you up. Maybe it doesn't hurt you, offend you, or hinder you. But for another person, or another time, another person, it does. Let me make it clear. That is an incorrect thing to do. To tell somebody outright, why are you not over this person already? Why are you still grieving? You need to get over it. You should be done. Anything like that, any of that sort. It is not correct to do that. Even if you know the person for a really long time, and you know the loss was a really long time ago, I'm using extremes, and you know the person's been getting counseling, going to support groups, whatever they've been doing, they've been working hard to get over their grief, to get through their grief, to be okay, to not be talking about it a lot, or have so many negative emotions, so sad about it. Even if you really think that that's where they're at, don't say it. Maybe you pray for them if you're a praying person like I am. Maybe you gently encourage them to go see a specialist if they hadn't already. Or maybe you make a suggestion, or you say something, what helped you. That would be the most you should do. Don't ever say it. It's not a correct thing to say to somebody. So I want to say that right up front. But if you're in that situation with whoever says it to you, and you don't, it does affect you. It does, let's say it makes you feel like you need to shut down. Like you shouldn't express your emotions or your thoughts when you need to. Okay, maybe you feel you're being hindered from processing that loss. Maybe you feel that you can't progress along your grief journey because of that. It literally stops you, or gets you stuck, or really hinders you. It's really, it's become a big hang up for you. Okay, whatever words you want to use with that. But any of those things. And then you also realize that your mental health and your emotional health is suffering due to this person that you're around, maybe a lot or somewhat regularly. Okay, if that's the case, and again, if you are having a situation with that and you want to get some help, some objective help, I'm here. I'm a life coach. I coach right here in this room that I'm in. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, and you can come to my home, and I also do it online. And I offer a free complimentary consult for a whole hour, totally free, with no obligation, to anybody who wants to set that up with me within my schedule. Okay, so you may be in a situation where you need that one-on-one help. All right, get that help. But here's some possible things you might need to do. You may need to stop spending time with that friend if it's a friend. Or sit somewhere else in church. Say it's another church member, or kind of a acquaintance friend, or a friend. You just need to sit somewhere different in church, so you're not, running into that person per se. May not want to be around that person or talk to that family member for now. Okay, it may be a situation where it's best to keep your distance from that person. Maybe you're still going to, maybe you're still okay to see them on the major holidays. Again, these are just ideas and examples, but you're not in the position to be talking to them or spending time with them. And that's a decision that you make, a boundary that you set. Okay, maybe you need to change your attendance of that support group. Maybe it is so bad that you need to change your attendance for that support group and go to a different support group. Again, a lot of times we can work through it and we can be okay, even if that person is still attending the support group, because we've resolved it, we've let it go, we're okay, and we've forgiven them, and we're able to let it go. And if they don't continue to tell us these things, if they don't keep talking to us one-on-one, we're okay, because it was just, they said it the one time and it's done. That could be the case. But in some cases, we may need to change the attendance. Or, for example, if it was a coworker, maybe go eat somewhere different. If they set it on a lunch break, eat somewhere different, and that way you're not around that coworker. If they're in the cubby next to you and there's serious issues and they keep saying stuff, then I would talk to your boss. But again, that's a specific situation. I would get some counsel or suggestions or coaching or what have you on. Okay, so that's just the scenario I wanted to mention, just to give you an example and kind of what that may need to look like. Now I want to talk about some of these words, like judgment, judgmental. Most of us would go, oh my gosh, I don't like it when people are judgmental, and we kind of all know what that looks like. So a definition that I found online, I like it because it's a general one, because we know if somebody's really judgmental, typically what are we feeling? We're feeling like they're putting us down, they're thinking better of themselves than us. They may just simply, judgment can go many different directions, right? We can be judged for our beliefs. We can go all over the place, right? But I like this because it's a more general one that could still happen and it could still really upset us or affect us. So judgmental is could be forming opinions of people and situations very quickly, right? Hastily making opinions of people and situations that you think are right, and maybe even playing God, right? And it would be better for you to wait, or them to wait, until they know more about that person or situation, right? We could say that would be the least, that they're just jumping the gun and they're making a statement before they even have all the facts. So I like that, because that can be, we can all fall into that sometimes. We could all do that, even if we're not a judgmental person or a prideful person or what have you. Okay, so, but again, so what would be the opposite of judgment? There's a lot of different words we can talk about, but I wrote them down on my sheet here and just kind of, and they definitely, a lot of these reflect back to my video about the 4 characteristics of somebody who's safe. But there's other ones too, so just so you know, that can go hand in hand, and I will be referring to that. So, opposite of judgmental. Judgmental is also just having a critical point of view, right? How about being accepting of the person? Patient, because we were talking about how people jump the gun and right away say something, and they're not thinking or being patient to gather more facts and say, maybe my opinion isn't necessary, it isn't going to help that person, right? So maybe being more patient and slow to speak, as the Bible says, quick to listen, slow to speak. All right. What about being understanding? Just being understanding of the person can be opposite of being judgmental. So those are some of the things we want to be. Okay. Another word that I wrote down is assuming. When people are assuming, they're assuming something. They're assuming you should just be done with it already. It's been 3 years. 3 years is more than enough time to, not necessarily forget the person, but, not to be such a mess or whatever you want to call that. They're assuming that you should be done. Okay. That right there is wrong and is not healthy and can be unsafe for us. What's the opposite of assuming? Well, one of the things I talked about on the SAFE video is we need to ask them how we can help. Not assume or presume or what have you, what they need, or just do what we needed so they should need, they're going to benefit because we needed that. No, not necessarily so, right? So ask them how we can help. And just offering practical help itself can be really good. So asking, not assuming. Okay, and that may not be a safe issue, but that's definitely something that could be unsafe. Because if we know we need to have plenty more time and there's no timetable to our grief, then we don't need to be rushed. There's no reward for speed, Dr. Wilfeld says, and it could be definitely unhealthy because we could feel like we're supposed to shut down and we're just supposed to be okay, and that's not good. So predicting kind of goes along with assuming is another word I wrote down. You're predicting, same kind of thing. You're predicting that okay, I think they should be good within 5 years or 2 years or 1 year or whatever you think. Predicting maybe because you compare someone else you know that also lost a child, so now you're talking about that friend that lost a child and you're predicting when they're going to be okay or something like that. So similar to assuming, right? Versus accepting where they're at. And I've talked about acceptance, and I like the word acceptance. We need to accept who we are. We need to accept where we are in our grief journey, what we need to be accepting. Others need to be accepting of us, and we need to be accepting of others and their grief. So whatever point of view we're talking about, acceptance is very important. Accepting them where they're at, not trying to guess or presume or any of that. So I would say accepting, which is part of the SAFE word, S-A-F-E. The A in that, in my acronym, is acceptance. Okay, so that's how, kind of opposites how I would see it. What do you think? Let me know. It's not just one way to look at this, that's for sure. It's still very subjective, right? Another word I wrote down, you could feel like they're bossy, telling you what to do. So if the person is telling you what to do, they're saying, you should do this. I did this. You should do that. Like that. Telling you what to do. That's kind of the action that we're talking about here. But they could be seeming bossy to you, controlling. In the general sense, they're giving advice. Now, I'm not saying we never to a good friend, maybe give some advice. Okay, but in general, the safe thing to do if you're trying to be a safe person for someone else and a supportive person, etc., is to not be quick to give advice or be careful how you say it. It should be more like, this is what helped me, or I know this helped them. This is just a suggestion for you. So that's not really, could be considered advice, but it's how you deliver it, whether it's going to be good for them or not and safe for them. So definitely that, telling people what to do. What's the opposite of telling people what to do? Asking how to help, which I already kind of touched on. Being supportive in general, like you want to support them, you want to help them, you want to be there for them. So you're offering to be helpful could be another opposite. Again, acceptance and facing the facts of the reality, which is my F in the word safe. Facing the facts where they're at and helping them to deal with those facts as they are. Right? So that is some of the opposites that I saw. Other things we could get into, because more of the things, this rejection, whenever we say rejection can be very overt with somebody saying something really mean or hurtful to us and doing something really hurtful to us. That could be rejecting, right? But rejecting can also be just people avoiding us or having nothing to do with us or saying nothing to us. And I've had more of that kind of rejection in my life that's really hurt me and affected me more than people head on, saying something mean or doing something mean. Okay, so I want to touch on that. So a lot of times in grief, it can be we assume or we think that person's such a good friend to us, they're going to be there for us in our grief, but they're not able to, and they don't. So they just walk off and they avoid us, or they don't call us anymore, or they don't even try to get with us anymore, or whatever it is. So that's more of an avoidance or a passive rejection of us, or and their reasons are that's another video to know why, because there's good reasons why people do that sometimes. They don't really usually mean to hurt us, okay? It's more they're self-absorbed from their own issues and what have you. So that can be unsafe for us, for sure. I've had to realize the people in my life that have done that to me and that they're unsafe. And it took me a while to realize that, but it helped me a lot to have boundaries so that I know that I'm worth it to not be treated that way. I don't deserve that. So I forgive them, but I keep my distance. That kind of thing. So opposite of avoidance is being present. Just wanting to show love. Wanting to help. Be supportive. All those things could be opposite of avoidance, obviously. Maybe just being honest that I'm struggling. Your loss of so-and-so has triggered up my loss, even from a long time ago or something like that. And I'm struggling again, so I don't know how much I can be there for you. Hey, it's better to be honest about that with somebody you care about. I'd much rather somebody tell me that than to just avoid me or never say anything to me, and I don't know what in the world's why they're acting that way. Okay? So being present or just being honest, and then saying maybe I could do this, but I can't do this. But I still am your friend, or something like that. But rejection, opposite of rejection is acceptance, right? That's kind of an obvious opposite, but that's important to recognize that when we feel accepted, who we are, where we're at, what we're going through, and our own uniqueness, that is definitely can be very safe and supportive for us, just for the person to be accepting of us, even if they don't do much to help us, but they're accepting. That can be a safe person to be around. Some other words I'm just going to throw out that we might feel about how a person's behaving. We might feel like they're being mean, cruel, cold, like that person's just being cold. They just don't have any empathy, understanding, or my overall broad, beautiful word that's in the Bible, but is a general word that's a beautiful word, is compassion. To be around somebody who we feel is compassionate is usually safe for us and could be really healthy for us even. Okay? But uncaring, mean, cruel, cold, uncaring, maybe we feel like they're even bullying us. So I just wanted to throw those out as some things that could definitely make us feel unsafe if we feel that way. Whatever word we use, that is where you got to go, I just thought that about that person. I feel like they're being mean. I feel like they're being, cold. I feel like they're being judgmental. I feel like they're trying to control me. Any of those type of things may be words to go, aha, is that person a safe person for me along my grief journey? So this is getting very specific about this to help you to be able to discern and kind of learn whether one person in your life is healthy and safe for you right now and going to help you along your grief journey or not. So that's all I'm going to share for today. And what I would love to ask from you today is comments about any other words you thought of that are negative things that you say, when I feel like the person's doing this, I think I do feel unsafe around them and they're not helping, or they're just not somebody I need to be around much or at all to be able to move through my grief. Okay, I'd love to hear those comments. If you learned something from this video, I'd love to hear what you learned from the video because that's important to me and could be important to other people who see the video so that they kind of know what it's about. So I would love a comment. If you just take a minute, it doesn't have to be long, and just put a comment on the video, that's really good. It helps it to go out there and it helps all around. So that's what I'd love for you to do today. And please join me on the next video. I will be talking about several Bible verses that talk about these kind of things. No time on this video, so I'm going to designate a separate video to that. And we're going to be wrapping up this series soon. But this is the 9th video. If you've not seen any of the other ones or only a few, I am putting all of the links in the descriptions to each and every video. So you should be able to go right to the description and click on whichever ones you want to. Hopefully they're clickable, or at least put the titles in to the search bar and find them. Encourage you to listen to all of them, as this has been a very in-depth study or topic on emotions, really breaking it down. And I've learned a lot, and I hope you have too. So I'm Julie Kay. Love you, and take care. And